family. The idea of this video occurred when my children, Lara and Stephen, presented Bonnie and me an 80th birthday gift of a trip to Poland to visit sightseeing areas and distant relatives. We flew into Krakow and visited the Cloth Hall in the town square and listened to the bugle call on the hour at St. Mary's Basilica. We also toured the medieval Florian Gate, the Wawel Hill, and the Royal Castle. The next day we drove to the salt mines of Wieliczka and went to Wasud Castle before driving to Warsaw, where we did another walking tour of the old town and visited the monument of the Warsaw Rising. Then we drove to the Teutonic Marburg Castle on the way to Gdansk, where we did another walking tour and explored the Amber Way. It was in 2013 that my cousin Kathy's daughter Becky took it upon herself to gather the local Kissel family history via remembrances, notes, genealogy research, etc., to produce a book entitled Nasza Ukochani Rodzina, which means Our Beloved Family, which is a book about the family of Ignacy Kissel, my great-grandfather. This led to another booklet created by Becky in August 2014 entitled Ignacy Kissel Family History. Then, in February 2018, she hired genealogytour.com in Poland to perform on-site research of the Kissel and Nadziska families. Nadziska being my grandmother's maiden name. It resulted in a PDF file that included the road signs of the two villages, Sałki and Grala, where both my father's parents were born and raised, and pictures of the Church of the Holy Spirit in Koziło, where they were baptized, as well as pictures of tombstones of distant family members in the cemetery across the street from the church. In addition, there was a picture of Stanislaw Niedzicki with his son Stanislaw and his daughter Maria, also known as Marila, with a note that, quote, he would be really happy if you sent him a postcard with greetings from the USA. I didn't think much of it at the time, but now that we're going to visit Poland again, I thought perhaps I should contact him about a short visit. So in February 2025, I sent a letter informing him of who I was and what I intended. It wasn't until April that I received a reply, and unfortunately the oldest Stanislav died in March 13th, 2022. But the younger Stanislav was looking forward to meeting us and the family. He wrote that his brother's daughter's husband, Bartosz, could translate our conversations, and that led us to contact genealogytour.com, which was founded by this amazing guy.
My name is Tom. I'm from Poland, and for over 15 years I've been doing genealogy research for people and then organized tailor-made heritage tours so that people can follow their ancestral footprints. In that case, in 2018 I started research for the Kisiel family, trying to find original birth, marriage and death records, and based on that we were able to build a family tree. Having all that info, I came to this area and I was able to find living relatives for you. And eventually after a few years we're able to put together a trip so that you can meet them, learn more about your heritage, visit the graves of your ancestors, of your relatives, seeing the houses where they lived, and explore the whole area, making it a memorable trip.
But we are still anxious and apprehensive about our intended visits. How would all of us be received? Would they be welcoming? We were expecting to meet only Stanislav, Marila, and Bartosz. So here we are in Suwałki. This is the house of Stanislav Niedzicki. This is the place where my grandmother, on my father's side, Antonina Niedzicki-Kisiel, was born. In fact, we walk behind the house here. This is the lot where the old house was, the wooden house. It's torn down now, but this is the area where she was born. So my grandmother was born here. If this now was a wooden house, then we could say that she was born right in this foundation of the house.
Yeah, the foundation.
The foundation.
What is the foundation? Okay, so we can see the foundation of the old house. It comes over here. They just use. I didn't see a fireplace. That's why I was wondering.
This was where the old house.
Yes, this is the foundation of the old house.
You never thought you'd see this where Grandma was born.
I know that's amazing. It's my roots. At least part of my roots. How amazing it is as a grandson to my Baptist family to share this experience with my own grandchildren. They may not be as overcome with family ancestry as I am, but at least I'm passing on family heritage to them so that they can have a sense of their family origins in Poland. To be family is to share food and drink, to talk and sing, and to toast vodka shots and say, we are family.
Babcia opowiadała zawsze i płakała, że Antonina już jedzie, koń mu zdycha, a on jeszcze wóz popycha, wie, i tak jedzie, Babcia, mój tatuś był nauczycielem i mamusia, to babcia z brzuchu. Bo Władzia miała kokardy kupiowskie z Ameryki.
Oh, you did, thanks. Out the camera. We were very warmly greeted by 11 members of the extended Stanislaw Bajewski families. We didn't expect the reception that we eventually got. We felt like family, and we were. So I'm standing at the gate of the Bajewski farmland, and house in the background, behind the trees, and the barn. We just met an extended family, so I met not just Stanislav, but his brother and his sister, second cousins. It's unbelievable. They can meet second cousins in Poland. And to see where exactly my grandmother Antonina was born. The house is gone, but memory is there. And it's heartfelt to know where your roots are, and to meet people who you don't really know, but yet in your heart they're family. So welcoming, overwhelmed, and not more I can say.
Ładna kurcianecka, choć się nie ustroi. O tak babcia Franciszka. Ładna
We had to say our goodbyes, but that was not easy nor quick. Bozina and Medela kept singing and dancing, proud of their Kurpia heritage and culture. That was also ours. Bozina wanted us to visit her mother at her home in Koziło, so we left Strauki for a 5-minute drive along the countryside to Koziło to visit someone whom I never expected. So this is my grandmother's youngest sister who we're going to see.
Ale się pierdolę.
He's got to translate what she's saying.
Can we get a translation?
Yeah.
She's trying to tell me something, but
Yeah.
It's amazing to meet my chacha. Oh gosh, my grandmother's grandmother's niece, but she would be my chacha because the same line of my Uncle Ray and all my others, my father and so on. What a visit. Thank you, Bozina, for inviting us to your home, and thanks to your son Adam for translating for us. So here we are at the church where my grandparents, on my father's side, Antonina Jevjeska and Valenti Kishel, were baptized. The church was then built at that time even though the original structure was destroyed beforehand, but when they were born, it was here. And across the street here is the cemetery where relatives are born, or married. So we'll visit it who we can find.
Stanisław, grandfather,
The brother of Antonina.
brother, and his wife Marianna. She lived 100 years and 2 weeks.
There is a grave where Stanisław Niedźwiecki, the father of the Stanisław, where we were in
the house.
his house.
Bartosz told me about a link to the church and cemetery directory, where I later discovered that there are at least 51 tombstones identified as Kissel. Since Bartosz's wife Joanna is involved with the Kurpe Culture Center in Koziwo, we walked through the cemetery into a pine forest, where an open-air museum was located on the other side of the cemetery, to view the wooden architecture used to build houses, churches, granaries, cowsheds, and barns in the old days.
This is Zagroda Kurpiowska w Kadzidle, home stage in Kadzidło. On the left you can see very old buildings, and my parents born in that house, that kind of house.
Although these were reconstructions of typical buildings of the past, it gave us an idea of the type of houses in which my grandparents grew up. It was like a mini village. Bartosz and Joanna gave us a private tour of the buildings and explained the crafts that would have been demonstrated on a typical workday centuries ago. We then had to say our goodbyes to Bartosz and Joanna with hugs and kisses. I now realize that I am also Kurp. So how are we related to Stanisław Niedźwiecki? Let me show you. This is where I am on the abbreviated family tree. This is my father, Stephen, and this is his mother, Antonina. She is the oldest in the family. Her younger brother is Stanislav, who apparently now is Stanislav I, who also had a son, Stanislav II. But he had another son, Stanislav III, who was way over here on the family tree, and this is the Stanislav that we met on our family trip to Poland this year. Bonnie also contacted Tomasz to research her side of the family. So, we drove about 35 miles from Koziwo to Konadice, a village just south of Łomża, where Bonnie's father's mother was born and raised.
We're going to be meeting my great-grandmother's younger sister's granddaughter.
On się sprowadził do Konarzy.
Okay.
Chyba ożenił się z Stachelską.
So he got married to Stachelska.
Okay.
I on miał dzieci. Mateusz Malinowski,
Right.
Franciszek Malinowski,
Yeah.
Jan Malinowski.
Right.
And he had 3 children, Franciszek Malinowski, Mateusz and Jan.
Jan w Piątnica, za Łomżą, taka
Jan lived in the
wieś.
town of Piątnica.
Franciszek tutaj mieszkał.
Franciszek lived next door.
Okay.
No.
A ona
I
jest tu.
Mateusz Malinowski miał Stanisława, Weronikę,
Weronika to jest jej, tak.
That's my great-grandmother.
Plucińska.
Plucińska.
To twoja? Tak, nie? Stała stodoła. O to było, tak. Stodoła. Stało procesji, nie?
So Here's exactly where the house of Weronika Malinowska was located, somewhere here.
No,
In this
Weronika to tak. Stanisław Malinowski tu dom postawił.
So Stanisław, her grandfather of Weronika Malinowska, built the house here. And three generations lived in there. It was made out of, it was a brick house.
Murowany był, tylko miał dach słomiany.
It had a thatch roof, but it was made out of, not out of
A
wood, but
tam,
of brick
to ta
house.
górka, to stał dom tego Franciszka Malinowskiego.
And his brother, so we are talking about Weronika's father, right?
Yes.
That he had his house here as well.
To był
And his
stryj.
brother lived.
To był stryj Weroniki.
His house was, you have this little hill, kind of bushy.
We rested inside a gazebo-like outdoor lodge alongside a creek running through the farm, where there was a built-in fireplace, table, and benches. Marian showed us the ancestry book written by his uncle Tadeusz, from which I translated to create a Malinowski family tree. Marian had a veterinarian practice, and when we visited his basement room, we noticed his numerous dog breeding awards.
This was the farm that Matush and Rosalia owned. And then they had children, it was partitioned and partitioned. But this man that we came to see today, and his wife Christina, his name is Marian Malinowski, he slowly bought back this parcel, that parcel, and he took us walking back. He loves pigeons, he's won trophies, we saw them, we saw his chickens, we saw the horses. But the farm just went on and on as we walked through pasture after pasture, beautifully maintained. It's just gorgeous here. And I have something in my mind and some memory of experience when I think of my babci and my babusha.
After the expected family group picture, we said our goodbyes to Marian and Christina, or as Marian refers to her, Christia. So how is Bonnie related to Marian Malinowski? Well, let me show you how it's done. We're focusing right now on my brown-eyed farmer's daughter, Bonnie, and above is her potato farmer father, Louis, who is the son of Bonnie's grandmother, Stanislava, or Stella, who also is the daughter of Weronika, or Veronika Malinowska. We now can move way over here to Veronika's brother, Stanislav, who had a son, Alexander, and Alexander had a son, Heinrich, and Heinrich had a son, Marian Malinowski, who was the person that we met. And to give you a better perspective of the genealogy, this is Mateusz and Rosalie Gerwin, whose grave we will see when we go to the Womsla Cemetery. We were then off to our next family stop, to visit Lizard, who lives in a nearby town, 22 miles away in Dzwonek, further south of Łomża.
It needs water. We bought them this morning, but put them in water.
No, bo już się trochę ten. Wie pan, jak oni są spokrewnieni, czy nie? Od Adeli. Adela to pana babcia była, nie? Tak. No to miała brata Stanisława. Adela. To do Ameryki wyjechał. Brat Adeli. So he doesn't remember that, obviously. No i to jest jej dziadek. Stanisław to był jej dziadek. Czyli jak był jeszcze pokolenie wyżej, no to była, czyli jej dziadek i pana babcia to rodzeństwo było. To jest ten dziadek Tomaszewski. Stanisław, bo ona Tomaszewska była Adolfa. To jest brat pana babci.
And that's Stanislawa Plucinska.
A to jest Stanisława, taka Plucińska z Łomży. Nie? Ona była z Łomży, on był stąd, ale no w Ameryce się poznali i ślub wzięli.
And they were in America. They knew each other 3 weeks. They got married.
To skąd?
No on stąd był, no to Tomasz, no to brat tej Adeli, Adolfy. To jest brat Adolfy. Stanisław Tomaszewski.
Tell him that he has family in New York. A big family. And
To tam od tego Stanisława duża rodzina tam jest w Ameryce. Jakby się pan kiedyś wybierał, to można w Nowym Jorku ich tam bardzo dużo zostało z tych Tomaszewskich, nie? Od Adeli brata.
and we're very happy to meet him.
Mówią, że bardzo miłe. Tutaj przy Tulasa chcę przytulić się do pana.
Dziękuję.
Może to zdjęcie jeszcze zrobimy razem. You want a family photo?
Yes.
Even after trying to explain how we are all related, Rizard, the youngest of his generation, did not remember older family members. Still, he and Bonnie are second cousins. After a short visit, we walked down the street looking for the house where Adela, or Dolfa, lived with her son, Boleslav Jastrzębski. Even though Rizard Jastrzębski didn't seem to understand how we're related, Bonnie is related to him. So let's take a look at the genealogy tree to show you how. A brown-eyed potato farmer's daughter, Bonnie, and above there is the potato farmer father, Louis Tomaszewski. And we have to go way over here to see where his sister Adela is in the family tree, who gave birth to Peter over here, and the son Rizard, who is the guy that we met. We took a short drive to the cemetery outside the rural village of Dzwonek to find more family.
So now we're at the cemetery where the Tomaszewskis are buried. And we will be looking for the grave of Adela Tomaszewski. I don't know. She was a Tomaszewski before she married. And her relatives, and that would be Jaji's sister's family.
Adela who went by Adolfa,
Very nice cheese.
with her two children, Bolesław, so the father of these two guys. She was 93, he was 91, and then Jadwiga was her daughter.
Next, we are driving to the cemetery in Łomża, where Mateusz Malinowski, who was born in 1836, and Rosalie Gerwin, who is German, are the great-grandparents of Bonnie.
Right? Yes. Great-grandparents. Mateusz and Rosalia, her maiden name was Gerwin Malinowski because this is the plural form. So here we have your great-great-grandparents with their daughter Rosalia Wysocka
Right.
and her husband, and then her daughter Zofia, who
Right.
got married to Adam Żukowski.
Oh.
So that this part is very old. We are next to the funeral home, to the chapel. Some of the graves you see here are from late 1800s.
We're now on the trail to look for where Bonnie's Jaji came from, a place called Laski, which is about 7.5 miles from Dzwonek. Laski in English literally means sticks, and is generally understood to mean little woods. Since there are many such places in Poland, it is interesting as to how they figured it out because
On one of the documents, well, two different documents that I have with Jaji's name on it, my Jaji.
Yeah.
So one said he was born in Losgate, and the other said he was born in like Dzwonek or something like that. And they recognized it was not. It's not a real place. It was misspelled.
But having these two names, we're able to identify which
Right.
Laski it could be.
Yep.
since we were lodging in Łomża, the town where Bonnie's grandmother was born and raised, the next day we drove over to the Cathedral of St. Michael the Archangel.
One of my favorite memories from my Bachi, which is my great grandmother, is that she lived in a house in Łomża, and every day she would walk to school. And when she had a test, she would stop in this church right here, and she would dip her pencil in the holy water for good luck. I used to really get up and tell my family and my mom too.
Just outside the cathedral was a poster of the history of the church and parish, which was founded in 1009. A couple of days later in Krakow, we met another genealogy guide named Thomas, who drove us 67 miles to Nowy Sącz. The landscape changed to a more hilly terrain near the Tatra Mountains. Here we were attempting to find the house where my mother's father lived.
Okay, Josef Zawislan, which is my mother's father, emigrated here to the United States. Now, whether he went together with his two other brothers or the brothers were independent, I'm not sure. But Wojciech went to Wisconsin to open a dairy farm. Josef went to the mines in Pennsylvania first. Strianka, or Stanislav II, came also. But eventually there was a conflict between Josef and the family of Wojciech. We think it was over some farm machinery, whatever. So he went to Buffalo to open up a bar and a speakeasy, got swindled out of his money, and then went to Utica, did the same thing, opened a bar and speakeasy, but didn't get swindled this time. And Stanislav also came here, and we called him Stria, because he was the uncle on the father's side. So Stria married Julia, which we called Strianka. And they lived in Utica, not too far away from where I grew up. Eventually, the story that my mother told me was that Josef went to the United States, I don't know how long, then he came back. And apparently he had a girlfriend, or maybe he was engaged, we're not sure. But he was walking through where my grandmother was, Sophia, saw her and wanted to marry her, except she was too young. They had to go to the priest. The priest says, no, you got to wait till she gets old enough. So they had to wait till she was 17, and then they married and went to the United States. That's what I know so far.
Now I have a question. Did your grandmother live up here in this area too?
Yeah, well, somewhere's in this area. She always said it was Novoshchonsk, but I'm not sure whether it really was in Novoshchonsk. That's just the area of. Yeah, I know.
So the lady there said her grandfather built the place.
It's 110 years old? 110 years old. So we're not sure that this is actually the house, but at least it's the location probably where the Zawislans were. Oh, dziękuję bardzo.
It smells really good. Give us a flower.
That sounds good. So I talked to this lady. She's how old? 80?
Yes, she's over 80 years.
Over 80 years. Yeah.
You don't ask ladies about age.
You don't answer too much about the age.
Yes. But the interesting fact, the old house got the too many worms inside, and decided dismantle. They putting into river, and then this dismantled house was the fixed here like a Lego here. That's why 112 years old is the house exactly. But probably you say there's a such Zawislan family. They didn't know the family before.
Yeah, we're familiar with the name, and not even Valiguna as well. Although the younger woman says she's lots of Zawislans around, but the older woman didn't recognize her. So we've arrived in the town of Novoshchonsk. It's a much more built-up town than we thought. It's more like a big village. And here now is a restoration of the town when it was a small little town, although the buildings are very well kept. We're going to see what people look or lived like back in the days when it was a small town and way before the partition. This is now the town where my mother's parents came from, both the Zawislan family and the Valiguna family. Zawislan is the father's side, and Valiguna is the mother's side. We don't know of any living relatives of Zawislans here still in this area, although we'll be meeting hopefully Cecilia and her mother Sophia, who is a member of the Valiguna family.
Tłumaczoną trzeba.
Zofia, matka Zofia?
Zofia, mama, ale Aniela to jest babcia. Lara. You remember me? Ja, pewno. Jak super. Pamiętam jejku, taką dziewczynkę. Ale mamy
mamy zdjęcia, foto.
Hello.
My nephew. My nephew.
Jej wnuczek, to jest wnuczka.
And wnuczka. I wnuk. Lara, pamiętasz? My father. Oh, yes, tak.
To jest father, okay?
Yes, I know him. And Aniela.
We're looking at Cecilia's father.
My great-grandmother was Bobby's mother's.
And we're trying to find out what is the relationship between her and the Valigura.
She's making break from work out of work.
And this is the grave of a woman that never had met. She was here 21 years ago.
34 years.
34 years ago.
And I was told that that was my great-grandmother's sister.
So how is Sofia Wojnarowska related to me? Well, let me show you how. So this is where I am in a very abbreviated Valigura family tree. So over here is where my mother is. And now we have to go back to where her mother is, Sofia. And Sofia's sister in Poland is Anilia Valigura. And she married a Jan Potenik, who gave birth to Sofia Potenik, who is now Sofia Walinowski. As we drove another 6 miles to a town further up the hills to visit the Valigura side of the family, I recall that sometime in the 1950s or 60s, my Chochi Ann visited these relatives and brought back a few pictures of the family, which she gave to my mother, who in turn gave them to me. I then gave them to my daughter Lara when she visited them with my wife's father's cousin, Felix Lipinski, on August 16, 1991. Now, 34 years later, we are on the way to visit them also.
O, tu masz to. To pewnie dzieci Laury, tak? Cześć. Donald był syn, czy?
Donald was the son.
No, I am Donald.
No, there's the Donald.
I am Donald.
Aha.
Nie pamiętam, nie? No, ale byłem tu, ja była. No, byłem. Ja byłem,
Żona. No, chodźcie. Zmarł. Tak, z babcią, z dziadkiem.
How the Zawiślan got the Sofia? Jest
Zawiślan przyszedł do
Mr. Zawiślan came to the shoemaker.
No, przyszedł do szewca z butami.
Yes, a shoemaker.
Przyjechał z Ameryki.
He came from
No i
America.
był tu w Czeczewinie, bo on stamtąd
He
był.
visited Czeczewinia village.
No i przyszedł do szewca i tam przyszła ta Zosia, moja
And then
ciocia,
came the girl,
siostra
the
mojej
Sofia.
mamy,
Sophia.
ta Zosia.
The sister
No
of
i
her
bardzo
mother.
się mu spodobała.
She liked her.
Tak mu się spodobała, że przyszedł na wieczór tutaj, proszę siadać, że przyszedł na wieczór z nią
He was so
tutaj, do nas,
enchanted, they
nie do
came
tego
here.
domu,
The
tylko był stary dom tam.
old house.
No, przyszedł, no i mówił, że się mu spodobała, że,
Zawiślan said
no, że
he
chciałby ją do Ameryki wziąć i to,
He
no,
want to take her to America.
ale mama mówi tak, no nie,
mother said,
nie może jechać,
no way,
bo jeszcze jest za młoda, no
because she's too young.
ślubu też jeszcze ksiądz nie da, no i nie może.
They not get married because priest not allowed. Right.
I tak, no i miała kapuśniarkę ze ziemniakami tu na wieczór i poczęstowała go i bardzo chętnie zjadł.
He got the such kapuśniarka, kapusta jest.
No, kapusta, takie kwaśne. Zjadł i posiedział No i co? No i poszli do księdza, ale ksiądz mówi tak, że nie, bo jest za młoda jeszcze, że jeszcze ślubu nie może wziąć. No i tak on się zgodził, że 2 lata zaczeka i jak ona dorośnie, to on przyjedzie i weźmie ją do Ameryki. I tak się stało. Przyjechał, zabrał ją. Co to takie lubię? Wiesz jaka rodzina? No jest bardzo duża rodzina.
Ale to nie wiem jak powiedzieć.
Duża rodzina u nas. I opowiadać się tak. No i wziął do Ameryki i bardzo dobrze tam żyli. No ale nie wiem, po pewnym czasie no on chyba zmarł, nie wiem jak długo żyli. Nie wiem jak długo.
That's her there.
To jest
Zosia i pan Jan Popielek.
Popiołek to już nie, to był za Wiślami.
I know, but he died.
Drugi. Drugi, tak, to był drugi. To był za Wiśle, ale Popiołek podobnie już nie był taki dobry jak ten za Wiśla. Już nie był taki dobry jak za Wiśla. Tak, no ale umarł niestety, no i ona wyszła drugi raz, ale nie była zadowolona. I także tam chyba za dobrze w Ameryce nie miała. Nie miała, bo tu, no, jak przysłała czasem $1 w roku na święta, jednego. Wódka jest w butelce, pijmy całym duszkiem, pijmy całym duszkiem. Jak mieszkanką to garnoszkiem, co żyje to dla nas, bo za 100 lat nie będzie nas. Co żyje to dla nas, bo za 100 lat nie będzie nas. Siekiera, motyka, piłka, graca, niech pan głowy nie zawraca. Siekiera, motyka, piłka, gwóźdź, chodźże Maryś, chodźże już. Ja z tobą nie pójdę, boś ty saper, ja sapera na sermater. Ja z tobą nie pójdę, boś ty ham, ja sapera dobrze znam.
Along with lots of delicious Polish food, we also had freshly picked cherries from their cherry trees.
Family. Na zdrowie! Zdrowie 100 lat!
100 lat!
100 lat!
100 lat, nie żyje, żyje nam. 100 lat, nie żyje nam. Nie żyje nam. 100 lat! Jeszcze raz. Jeszcze raz.
That's Sophia's husband.
Oh, her husband.
Yeah. And that's their wedding picture over there.
My.
Oh.
We're up in the mountains outside of Novoselic. Apparently, our grandparents didn't really live in Novoselic. They live in the outskirts of Novoselic, up in the mountains here. They're not really big mountains; they're just tall hills, but very steep. And they're farmers out here. And so we're visiting the farm of my mother's family, the Valaguda family, although they know of these Vislans. And I met my second cousin, another second cousin on my mother's side this time, Zofia, who knew
my grandmother, my babci, Zofia herself, and told the story again of how my grandfather met her and wanted to marry her, fell in love with her, but had to wait till she grew older. I didn't realize they had to wait 2 years to get permission from the priest to get married. So she must have been at least 15 because she got married at 17. So this is the house of the family, and we're having a great time pouring Vishnufka and sherry vodka, brandy, and it's a reunion. Of course, it's a reunion of not just my family with them, but Lara coming back after 35 years, and reunion of my aunt, Chachi Anna, who had come here in 71, something like that. So all those memories are coming back to all the family members, and after a few shots, people are getting very happy and singing Polish songs. And I recognize that Les here, who is the son of my second cousin, so he would be my second cousin once removed. He also plays the accordion at Kalenda, which is Christmas Eve and so on. And talking to Selena, I found out that they again pronounce their Christmas Eve as Vigilia as opposed to Vigilia as we say it. I knew that there were two different pronunciations and so on. But this is some place there, that farm plot that I showed earlier with the wheat growing, which is the place where my grandmother's house was when she was born. And found out now it's going to be another house for another relative's son. So they'll keep on a tradition, and they'll be able to have a look over the valley behind me. Of course, you can't see much here with the trees in the way. But they are the mountains, the Carpathian Mountains, and if you look carefully at one area near the structure behind us, or in front of me, there is a view of Zakopane, the mountain to ski slope, where Pope Paul II used to ski. And it's an unusual feeling to realize that you are blood family relatives of people that actually you don't know, but it feels like you know them because they are just so warm and so welcoming. There's my family that we met over in Kishelnitsa and Kadziwa. So again, we are one big happy family reuniting again.
After taking a group picture, eventually our visit came to an end, with hugs and kisses and finally goodbyes. What a visit. It was incredible and emotional. Who would have thought that a son of a laborer, a millwright from upstate Utica, New York, would go to college at the State University of New York at Albany and meet, fall in love, and marry a brown-eyed, beautiful potato farmer's daughter from Jamesport, Long Island, New York. And after nearly 60 years of marriage and 80 years of life, go on a family trip to Poland and discover that their father's descendants all lived in northeast Poland within 30 miles of each other. What are the odds? We hope that 2025 was a great year for you as it was for us. Perhaps you'll have the opportunity to discover your family heritage. Stolat! Hello, family. This video was blah, blah, blah. The next day, we drove out to Bielitska.
We have to go. We have to go.
A Bożenka to jest...
We had to say our goodbyes, but that was easy, not easy, nor not.